So what I'm getting is actually sort of like a path forward of enjoying every moment.
But you see,
more.
when you talk like that, it's like, death is coming, I know it is, it's inevitable, and I'm just going to do my best to enjoy every moment. And we tell the 2-year-olds the same thing. It's now, it's now, it's now, it's now, it's now. Jerry and Esther brought a little cat home. We won't tell you that whole story. It's for a whole other conversation. It's a good story, though. They found her in Louisiana. And so they called her Elsie, the letters, for a lovable cat, Louisiana cat. And when they brought Elsie to the property, they have 40 acres and a lot of buildings, Jerry put cat doors in the primary building so that Elsie could come and go as she pleased. And Elsie came and went as she pleased. She loved being in, she loved being out, she loved being in, she loved being out, she loved being in, she loved being out, she loved being in, she loved being out. She could roam the entire property. And one day, as Esther was watching her, because this is a thick building. Jerry always builds buildings with 6-inch studs, so there is more insulation in between. So the walls are thick. And so it was almost the length of the cat to pass from in to out. And Esther said, it's almost like going to another dimension. And the next opportunity we had to chew with a group like you, we said, it's kind of like that. The death experience is not different from going from one room to another. It isn't. It isn't the great disorienting experience that humans think that it is. And the reason that most people feel uncomfortable about the death experience is because someone who doesn't know what they're talking about has convinced you that because you aren't living by their freakishly rigid, narrow point of view standards, because they've forgotten that you create your own reality, and they don't know about inner being, and they've misunderstood God, or what they call God, completely. So they have carved out this little set of what they call values, or the way you should live, and if you don't abide by them, then they come full face to you and they convince you that you should prepare yourself for hell. And we want you to know it's not worth doing, because there isn't one. You're going to reemerge into pure positive energy. So if you could let loose of that concern that you are being judged and you are failing, and therefore there might be something to be afraid of, because I'm not really sure if I kept the rules right. I don't even know who had the right rules to begin with, and I didn't do a very good job of adhering to any of those rules, and so maybe there's a lot of resistance about re-emerging into the non-physical around that factor too. So this is what we wish for all of you. We want you to accept that you're eternal beings and not try so hard to define what physical life is and what non-physical life is, because it really is like Elsie going outside and coming inside and going outside and coming inside. It really is like that. You won't be disoriented. You will have your footing. You will know who you are. You will be tuned in, tapped in, turned on. In other words, anything that is doubtful or fearful, you will have left behind. So the only reason that we could think that anyone could be sort of maybe a little bit justified in deciding that they want to prepare themselves for the death experience is because you're not doing a good job of tuning into the pure positive energy that is really you now. You don't have to croak in order to leave that resistance behind. You could do it by focusing here. That's the most important thing. And so the things that you were saying, it's like, I'm preparing myself for something. And we say, we would be telling you what we just told you, which was a lot. You understood it all. We would be telling you everything that we told you if you were even focused upon a vacation that you're planning and became so obsessed with this vacation that is 2 or 5 or 10 years out, and therefore you're not enjoying your now because you're just so fascinated with what you're going to do later. When all of your power is now. That's the point of all of this rambling that we've been doing since you sat down here. All of your power is now. And the power of your now while you're in this body, or the power of your now once you've reemerged, is still going to be the power of your now. You will reemerge with the power of your inner being for sure. But you know what? what are we talking about all day, every day as we get together in these gatherings? We're talking about you rendezvousing with the power of your inner being while you're in this body. Is that making sense to you? Calibrate to it now, to the clarity of it, to your worthiness of it, to your expectation of good things coming to you, to your being so tuned in that when you hold anybody as your object of attention, your natural inclination is to love them because that's what your inner being is doing. So that you begin to be that uplifter at all times. And so we really want to say, if you really want to prepare yourself for the death experience, then you want to become the happiest person on earth while you're in this physical body. But you don't have to. It can be a shock to you. You could be utterly miserable. You could be dragging around. Every bit of you could be miserable, and you will have a delightful reemergence. It will shock you for a minute. Wasn't expecting this. Or you can be like Elsie, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, inside. Life is good no matter what.